Step 5 is to create your illustrations. And for me personally, this is the most fun step of them all. I think it's really kind of where the magic happens. So for this one, I like to make sure I have my story right here as I'm going through and creating the illustrations. So I'd open the text file with that story that we generated. And as you can see, the story is already organized into pages. And so I want to create an illustration for each page. And the way we create illustrations with this tool is using what we call prompts. And I do have a tutorial here in the members area showing you how to create a great prompt. So I'm not going to go in depth on creating prompts or illustration techniques in this demo. But one tip I will give you is that, once you come up with a general prompt that creates the kind of illustration that you're looking for, you can essentially rinse and repeat. You can use that same prompt with the same style, simply changing the subject for each page, right? For example, here on page 2, I'm thinking, they're going to a research base in Antarctica, and so I'm going to have a picture of that type of airplane, flying to Antarctica. Then they arrive at the research base, and so in that one, the subject would be an Antarctic research base, right? So the style is going to stay the same. I'm planning on using sort of a watercolor, a real beautiful watercolor style for these illustrations, but then the subject would change for each page. But my point is you can really save a lot of time by just sort of reusing the same prompts over and over with the same style and illustration prompts, just changing the subject within that prompt. So let's get started. So my first page, I want to have a picture of our character. Now I'm not going to put the character in most of these pictures. In fact, I will create a tutorial going into more depth on character creation, and it absolutely can be done with this tool, but you can definitely save some time by not putting your character into all of the illustrations. And then you can choose how many images you want to create for each prompt so that you have a few different options to choose from. And of course you can do that as many times as you want, but I typically like to go with 3. Sometimes I go as high as 6. Maybe I'll just go with 4 images for this demo and go ahead and just click Create Image. And my first prompt did create some very beautiful images. This is very close to what I'm looking for. The only problem I see is that this young girl, the character of my book, is wearing a skirt in all of these, whereas she's flying to Antarctica. So I want to add to this prompt and say that they're wearing winter clothes. Wearing winter clothing. And I'm going to go ahead and regenerate those images. And that absolutely did the trick. In fact, now my tough choice here is simply choosing between these 4 images because all 4 of them look really good. I'm going to rule this one out because I don't like that the girl's behind her dad. I like this one because the dad's hand is reaching down, and I like this one because they're sort of right next to each other. So I think it's between these ones. Although I do like the red boots down on this one as well, but I don't like the dad's character as much. So I'm going to choose this one right here. I'm going to click download. And part of my thinking on choosing this one is that it chopped off Dad's head, which means I don't have to worry about creating his head consistently in any other illustrations. Now, just to show you what I personally like to do as I'm downloading these, I like to go ahead and rename those files based on the page number. So this is page 1, so I'll rename it to 01.png. And just before we move on to the next illustration, I want to show you another feature that we do have built in, and that is our variation generator. So you could click on any of these. So say I like this one, but maybe I wanted some different options. I could click on this image and then click Generate Variations. And as you can see, that gives me 6 additional variations of that particular illustration. And in fact, these are really good variations. I could have just as well chosen any of these. And as I look at them again, I almost like a couple of these better because it really shows that the dad and the little girl are holding hands. And so what I'll do is just download a few of these just as backups. Really no reason why not. In fact, I'm going to download 4 of those just in case. And I'd say that's just a great general rule of thumb. If you generate some images that you like, and even if you're not sure if you're going to use them, if you like those images, go ahead and just download them because maybe you'll want to use them again someday. All right, moving on to the second prompt. Let's go ahead and generate some more images. Okay, this is exactly what I had in mind. It is looking really good. boy, I could either go with number 2 or number 3 on this one. Both of those are really beautiful images of this type of aircraft flying over the Antarctic Ocean. I'll go ahead and download both of them. And for now, I'll say this one is going to be page 2. Moving on now to page 3, let's generate some more images. And wow, yeah, this is really just meeting my expectations for sure. All 4 of these very much sort of fit my vision for what I had in mind of just sort of this overall landscape of an Antarctic research base. I really like the second one. Oh, I don't know, I like the second, third, and fourth. Really tough call on that, and maybe when I take a closer look at them, maybe I'll change my mind, but I think I'm kind of leaning towards the fourth one. So I'll say that one's page 3. Moving on now to page 4. And by the way, I'm just doing one run through of each of these. I mean, if something makes a mistake, or if it doesn't create the right images, I'll end up tweaking the prompt. But this is first try on each of these, and it is generating some really good results. Again, tough call. I like this one, number 3, and I kind of like number 4. I like the colors, that splash of color in that fourth image, so I think I'm going to probably name that one as page 4 for now. Moving on to page 5, put in my prompt and generate some more images. As you can see, we're going with penguins here. They both work really great because they have this space. The top half of the frame is completely reserved for the title and author name. Again, this one's more realistic, but I think this one, with her being in such close proximity to the penguin, might really catch people's attention and sell more copies. So I'm going to go with this one. So we'll call that the cover. Once you're done creating your illustrations, it's time to move on to step 6, which is putting everything together.